We are rolling.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Creative Businessmen. Today we have actor Paul Freeman on with us. He's a really great guy, a friend of mine, and Paul and another friend of ours, Brian Pierce, actually produced a short film a few years ago called Gun Runners. We'll play that at the end of the episode, so you can check it out. It was a fun little project. But Paul's a great guy. He's a really talented actor. We discuss a lot about acting and how he got into acting and how the business works and what his experience has been in the business and some of the experiences I've had. And we even talk about stand-up comedy with Eric and also we get into some of the more business aspects of acting. Daniel has some really interesting things to say about that. I think you guys enjoy it. I think you'll get a lot out of it if you're looking to become an actor, or you're already an actor and you want to learn more about the business of acting, or you just like to hear us talk about acting. We talk a lot about it in this episode, so hope you guys will enjoy it. We did. I hope you enjoy the show. If you do enjoy the show, be sure to like and subscribe. We really appreciate the support. And here you go. I met Paul through acting, and you studied at the Actors Lab too for a while.
Yeah.
Where I studied, and then
I think you were there maybe the last year I was there.
Yeah.
You were coming in as I was there for the last year.
Right. Yeah, I think so. I think you were in the master class when I started. I was in like the intermediate class.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time I moved up, you'd already moved on. But Paul had the idea to shoot a short film a few years ago. That's
Gun Runners.
what became Gun Runners. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah.
I've seen that. That was the one you were in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
So-
that was are we actually rolling?
Yeah.
Australian.
Yeah. We're
Oh,
going.
okay.
Oh no, go ahead. We'll switch cameras. Go ahead. Use your chapstick.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I was going to add to the Gun Runners thing, but
Yeah,
I didn't know
please.
if we were actually rolling or so. Yeah, so to add to that, it's Neil can tell you it's pretty interesting. Like we started off with him, myself, and Brian Pierce.
Yep.
And then it just grew. It was amazing. Like, the original idea. Well, my original idea was, to do an action scene, and then originally to do CGI and so forth. And through Neil's connections, we ended up with some pretty nice weapons. And how many blanks did we get? 400 rounds?
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. We didn't use them all.
we didn't
Yeah.
use them all, but we were prepared. So, and we hired one cop in Thomasville.
Yeah.
But because crime is low in Thomasville, we paid for one but got two, remember?
Yeah,
The other
yeah.
guy just wanted to watch. He's like, oh, I want
Hell
to see what's
yeah.
going on. So we had yeah.
And we actually had a weapons malfunction. We had a few rifles that we were using for the shoot, and since we're using those quarter rounds, the blanks, they don't have enough. They don't create enough back pressure to make the rifles cycle. So only one rifle would work. And actually, one of the police officers fixed a jam for us.
Yeah.
Or we'd be in a jam.
Yeah.
And so we had one functional rifle for that short,
short.
and so every scene where we're shooting, we all have that one rifle, but you can't really tell.
That's great.
But yeah, so
It's the magic of editing.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. But that was a very fun project, and, I think everybody was very happy the way it went.
Yeah, I mean, we met. So I found a property we could shoot it at.
It's a cool looking property.
Yeah, it was a cool place, and so we met there, me, you, and Brian, and then we just came up with the idea of kind of a rough idea of what we want to do, and I went back and started wrote a first draft of a script, sent it to you guys, and you said what you wanted to change, and I rewrote it a couple times, and then we shot it just 4 weeks after we had met the first time, and we shot the whole thing in one day, and then did one pickup shot with Brian like a day or two later, and that was it.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. It's very rare that idea to fruition is that seamless and quick.
right,
That's just a bunch of motivated people actually doing stuff. Is pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah, and we had a nice crew too. We had
Mike Retta,
yeah,
Apple Box Films. Yeah.
yep, and then we had Scott, the audio guy,
Yeah.
did our sound for that. And
Yeah, he did sound for a comedy special we just shot not that long ago.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah. What's
Yeah.
Scott's last name? Scott. God,
I only know him as Scott, the audio guy, so I am unaware.
why
Where
can't-
is is Gun Runners out? If anybody wanted to watch it, is it somewhere?
Yeah, it's on Apple Box's channel. We need to put it on our channel, actually.
Yeah.
I've seen it several times. I didn't know where it was. Is that it?
It's on all of our Facebooks. I know that, but yeah, outside of Facebook,
Somewhere
Neil
in there,
probably
yeah.
know.
It's pretty short, right? It's a quick watch.
Yeah, if you look up Apple Box Cinema, I think on YouTube, it's on there.
Yeah, what was great about that is too.
Probably on my YouTube also.
You know, working with Neil and Brian and actually knowing them for a while, it just makes it that much funner. You know, when we do the scouting, and we all hopped in Neil's truck and went up there and checked it out. And you know, originally we were discussing that. Yeah, we can't do something like this in Charlotte. I mean, you hear gunfire going off. It's
Right.
we're gonna have to go elsewhere. So, and then we brought in a couple other younger actors because I was playing the sheriff, and they were, you know, the gun dealers, and we came up on them as they were dealing. So, yeah, it ended up being pretty fun.
Oh yeah.
Scott Graham,
Scott Graham.
audio guy, and then we had a nice had a really good hair and makeup crew there too.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Leah, sorry, I forgot her last name.
Mitrovich.
Yes, that is it. Yeah. Very good crew too. And Neil could tell you I'm a big you know, action fan. So I was so excited. You know, I love the Jean-Claude Van Damme's, the Steven Seagals.
Well,
Of course,
I mean,
Bruce Lee.
you were talking about some other things that you're interested in. You were interested in, you did some bouncing.
Mm-hmm.
You did some professional wrestling.
Yes,
right?
pro
And
wrestling.
I mean, that is all action stuff, right? You know what I mean?
Oh yes, very.
It's going to lead itself to it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and then as we were discussing before about the professional wrestling and your experiences, and I only did it for about 2 years in my early 20s. So it's interesting at that point in my life, around 23 years old, I wanted to do both acting or professional wrestling, but I just didn't know which path to take in life. And I was like, well, I'm still young. Let me try pro wrestling first, see how that goes. And I enjoyed it. Thankfully, I didn't get hurt.
Sure.
But what I come to realize is that over a period of time, and much respect to those guys, as you know, it takes a toll on the body.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, well, after 2 years, I said, let me just go ahead and pursue acting. And at that time, I was working at the bank, and I didn't know how to get started. I didn't have family in the business, so
Right.
like, I was like, all right, how do I get started? This and that. And around that time, this was around 2011. And North Carolina was booming at that time. You had different projects were coming in, and there was an open call at the Carolina Mall in Concord for extras for the Hunger Games. So I said, oh, man, well, let me go down there. And it's so funny because looking back at it now, it was the most unprofessional resume. You know, I think I gave him a resume, but it was a 5x7 photo. That's not industry standard, right?
Yeah. I mean, but
So-
you didn't have anybody explaining what industry standard was then.
Correct,
You kinda
correct,
wing
yeah.
it, yeah.
I was just winging it, yeah. And I remember arriving. I remember the excitement of, you know, the potential of being a part of. Well, at that time, actually, we didn't know it was Hunger Games. We knew it was a Lionsgate production, and I think they had the code name Artemis. That's what they used for
Right.
it. But when I arrived to the mall, the line was a mile long. I mean, there were so many people there. And so I turned in my information to Tona Dahlquist, who's extras casting director, and I'm still thankful. I don't see her that much nowadays, but you know, thankful to her because I mean, she's really the lady that kind of gave me the start.
Yeah.
And to make a long story short, I remember getting a call in my cubicle at the bank, and I said, I went into a break room, and I was so excited. Like, yeah, are you available? Of course I'm available. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you available all 3 days? Yes, all 3 days.
Yes.
And
Even if you're not, you are.
oh yeah. And I was gonna make sure. Yeah, I was gonna. But then as time went on, you know, I knew that I had to leave the banking world in order to have success in the acting world. In terms of, at least my mindset was at that time, because if I was going to be an actor, I was going to do it all the way, you know, and make sure I was available. And so it was a scary jump. You know, you go from a job that's, you know, pretty secure, and but I said I'm going to do it. If I don't do it now, I'll never do it. So, you know, after doing extras work for Homeland and Hunger Games, rotating back and forth. I asked production assistants, who are the best casting directors in the South? Who are the best agents in the Southeast? And, they gave me obviously a few, but JTA was one that kept coming up. So I had a list about 5 agents, with JTA being the first option, and I was a one and done. I visited them, and I still remember the interview. It was very green, but had a decent smile and some charisma, so they signed me.
Hell yeah.
Cool, man. How far in were you? How long had you been working on becoming an actor before you booked your first gig?
Actually, it happened pretty fast, surprisingly. Let's see. If I were to go back, because I'm at the 10-year mark now, which is amazing. I can't believe it's been 10 years.
Yeah,
But
wow.
so when I first started, first off, I remember my first audition, and I didn't get the job, but I remember the very first audition I ever had at C&J Casting, and it was for Sprint, and we had to sing "Here We Go Again" or "Here I Go Again on My Own" by Whitesnake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Good song.
and we had to
Love
air
that song.
guitar. We had to do all that. I still remember that. And Mitzi, the casting director, she was behind the camera, and she, smiled and everything. But it was a very good experience and a very fun one. But my first job was maybe the CPI security commercial. It was, I
Remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was the bad guy that broke in the house.
Yeah.
It was fun. It's fun stuff. I said, man, this is wild.
What was your first non-commercial role, like theatrical role?
Secrets and Lies on
okay.
ABC, with
Yeah.
Ryan and Philippi, down in Wilmington.
Very cool. Yeah.
And that was exciting too.
Nice.
So it's one of those deals where, and you know this, Neil, like when you book television or commercial or movie,
Yeah.
it's nice to soak it all in, and just enjoy,
Sure. Yeah.
being there I like to enjoy it from the morning all the way to the end,
Yeah.
So, because as you know, once you book something, you're one out of thousands of actors. It gets narrowed down, but
Right, yeah,
through the
yeah.
submission process,
Yeah.
that gets the part. So, it's something to enjoy for sure.
Oh yeah. Most of the job is no.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So,
I'm coming up on 9 years myself in acting, and
I-
I have way more no's than yeses.
yeah,
It's like 98% no's.
yeah.
At 2%, though, that's fantastic.
Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, the 2% is what we do it for.
You know what's interesting is I shifted my way of thinking maybe, I don't know, I'm just guessing 5-6 years ago. So I know that some actors will use the word rejection, but I don't ever use that anymore in my vocabulary.
No.
The way I see it now is when you get an audition, it's an opportunity to be seen,
Right, and they want to see you.
and they want to see you.
Yeah.
Now that you know the numbers game, that you're in the, by the time you get the invitation, you're in the top, 30 to 40,
Yeah,
perhaps.
you're in the top.
So you're almost there.
Yeah,
And I just see it as an opportunity to be seen. And as long as I give 110% and I am confident in my choices, once you send it in, just be happy, with
Right.
with what you turned in.
Yeah.
And but I don't use rejection. I don't use the word struggling actor. I don't use that anymore because I believe in the mindset. Get that out of your don't think about struggling. Think about succeeding, and
yeah.
things will happen.
And before we get too far away from it, too,
Yeah.
wanted to give a shout out to Gregory Hewitt. He was the guy that did the special effects for us that day
Yes.
for
yes.
that shoot, and he's great, by the way. He's a Hollywood level special effects guy that's in Charlotte for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, kind of where we all stay.
Yeah. And it's also interesting that, 20 years ago, staying in off-town would have meant you're not in the business at all, and now
Right.
you can be in Greensboro, be in Charlotte. There are more ideal places to be, but you can work from anywhere now, thankfully, because of video submissions and emails.
Well, in
Mhm.
acting, it's all video submissions now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't been to an in-person audition in a while.
Yeah. I can't even remember the last one either.
I mean, maybe commercial stuff, but I don't really do commercial stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
if it's a national commercial, I'll audition for it. But
Sure.
I just don't really enjoy commercial work a
Yeah.
whole lot. So,
Yeah. I know that Lacey, with her success lately, Lacey Camp,
Yeah.
she's, well, I mean, at least I saw from the interview from here, she's still in Huntersville, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Our daughter's movie finally came out, Clifford.
Yeah.
yeah, that's fantastic.
What, 3 or 4 years later, 5 years later? Because remember, it got shelved.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, remember
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken, if it was Clifford or something else, but they had the people that originally produced it. They got bought by some other film
I think it was
production.
2 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it got shelved, and then they were going to release it, but because of the
COVID
pandemic
and
and
stuff,
COVID and everything, they didn't. And then it finally went out, and it got its theater debut and all that. So it's kind of interesting because,
Yeah.
and then the same thing with the Santa Claus one, the number 2
Santa Claus 2. Yes.
on Netflix came out.
I can't remember the name of it. Yeah. It's a good movie.
Yeah. So
Well-
I'm in Davidson at a little coffee spot. It's like a wine coffee spot that plays outdoor music occasionally.
Okay.
And there with my wife, and we're listening to music. And then, like, I see this girl with a little book bag, and a group of people walk up, and she, like, sits right here, and I was like, is your mom? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, ah. She's like, oh, the creative businessman. She's like,
That's funny.
I watched the episode. I was like,
Nice.
ah. So, anyway, I got to tell my kids, which I thought was interesting, because as they watched those movies, I was like, oh, yeah, remember that's the one we met in Davidson? So,
It's Darby. Yeah.
yeah, Darby.
Darby Camp.
Yeah.
He's a superstar.
Yeah, that's fantastic, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where we met Lacey, me and Neil as well. Lacey, Brian Pierce, and Pat Dortch.
Yeah, from the Actors Lab. How
Yeah.
long were you at the lab?
I would say a little over 2 years.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And what a heck of a roster, right? I
Oh, I know,
the
yeah.
people that came, Joanna Jowett, like I said, Brian Pierce and Rachel Woodhouse. And, I mean, we could name them all. I don't want to miss anybody's name, but everybody was fantastic
Right,
is
yeah.
what I'm trying to say. It's just a great group, great energy of people in there, you know. So-
Brian, he actually teaches there now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He actually has been helping me lately.
I think Pat took over the Charlotte Actors Lab.
Oh, he did?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, because JD, I don't think JD teaches anymore. Shout out to JD Lewis, by the way.
Yes, shout out to him.
But yeah, I think he's. He I guess oversees everything, but I think he's kind of. I don't know if he's retired or what, but he's.
Mhm.
I don't think he actually teaches a whole lot. I know I think he may make appearances.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, good for Pat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I speaking of Brian, I've seen him in recent months. It's
Mhm.
been nice. We kind of have a trade-off. I asked him to help me. I had some auditions that had a lot of dialogue for some pretty, good jobs. So
Right.
I said, I need somebody I trust and know.
Yeah.
And he's close enough by. So
Yeah. Brian's a good actor too.
yeah.
It's great to work with.
Yeah, and it helped because I just wanted to be as prepared as possible. These were for callbacks. I would say, hey, Brian, can you, run these lines with me for these callbacks?
Yeah.
So that everything is, so I can, so you can practice and be ready to go.
Right. Yeah. You were recently on Righteous Gemstones, weren't you?
Yeah, that was a whole lot of fun. And
That's
you know
cool,
what's,
man.
yeah,
It's like a
thank
fun
you.
show.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. And what's interesting is Eric Roberts. I didn't know he was going to be the other actor across from me, because his character at the time was, he's debuting, without giving away too much, he's debuting in season 2. So it was very secretive. So when we get on set, I knew that John Goodman and I would be on there together, which is funny, by the way.
awesome.
Yeah, which is funny because when we got to set on the golf course, the production assistant says, yeah, your trailer's that last one there on the right. I said, oh, yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I go down to the trailer, and it says John Goodman's name on it. I said, well, that can't be, that's not, that can't work. So I went back to her, and I think her name was Alexis. I said, Alexis, John Goodman. She said, yeah, we're moving him to another spot. So I turned around. It's funny. I saw him come out and walk around.
Oh, that's cool.
But we rode on the golf cart together. And out of respect, I didn't take shotgun, right? And I got on the back, and we drove to set. But Eric Roberts appeared later. Now, when he came to set at that time, because this was right after quarantine and things were starting to pick back up, everybody was wearing masks.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't recognize Eric Roberts at first, because he had that and he had a hat on. And he came up and he shook my hand and introduced himself. But he didn't introduce himself first, last name. He just says, hey, I'm Eric. How you doing?
Yeah.
Then he took his mask off. I said, I know who that is.
Yeah.
We watched Best of the Best. Do y'all remember that movie?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, actually, I do remember that. Yeah. Wow.
Me and my cousins watched that a lot back in the late '80s. So, but yeah, that was a really fun, and what a fun show, right?
Yeah.
But just another great experience. The Fincannons casting,
Yeah. Great. Yeah.
great people. I mean, very, very nice people, and they
Big
helped.
casting directors too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In North Carolina, the biggest probably.
Yeah, very well respected, and make a lot of dreams come true for a lot of actors, as all casting directors do. So,
What was when you decided, oh, I'm going to go to acting school or just being an actor? What was your situation like? Where were you in life at that point, and what was the moment that you said, I'm going to do that?
yeah. So back to when I worked at the bank. Well, my entire life, I always wanted to be an actor, but I just did not know how to start. I just didn't know. And it got to a point where the bank job the job itself wasn't great. It paid well, but I'll touch base on money and lifestyle in a minute. And the people I worked with at the bank were great people.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's why I liked work. I mean, that's why I worked there as long as I did, because I liked the people I worked for.
Sure.
Like I was saying earlier, it got to the point where it's either now or never. I was like 28 years old. I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm not going to talk about it. Actions speak louder than words. If I'm going to do it, I got to do it now, and do it all the way, 110%. Don't half it. So, but yeah, to answer your question, I've always wanted to do it since I was a child. Grew up watching, those action movies when I was old enough to watch.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee is my favorite.
Yeah.
The Rocky films. I love the Rocky films. The older I get, the more they relate to real life. So then when I left the bank, that's when I made the decision to become an actor and do it full time, or try to do it. We're almost there, right?
Yeah.
Full time.
What were the immediate sacrifices you had to make right off the bat when you have that bank job and you say, hey, I'm going to chase this other thing that might not pay my bills?
I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because I got lucky, but we need luck in life sometimes. So when I left the bank, I got a job bussing tables at a nightclub, and man, you're talking about you go from dressing up every day, you go to work, and then you're working at a nightclub, and people are bumping all over you, and walking around like zombies. But I was like, I need this job to make it work, and but I was getting off topic. What was your
just the sacrifices.
Sacrifices? Yeah. So working a lot of side jobs, bouncing at clubs. I one time pressure washed 18-wheelers.
So anything to free up your time during the day so you could work on projects.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And, shout out to any boss or manager I've ever had, too, because they have a lot to do with my success, too. Every boss or manager I've ever had has been supportive of my career, and they understand, like, if I need time off, they've never given me a hard time. I always try to help them out, too, in finding a substitute of some sort, or giving them the best heads up possible. But, it's interesting with sacrifice. There's been some relationships, but I'm still friends with, all my ex-girlfriends and so forth. Not that I had like 10 of them, but, I'm still friends with all of them.
That's impressive, though.
Yeah. Sometimes, you got to, they're all good people. It's tough. Relationships are tough in general.
Yeah.
Sure.
But, as an actor, you just have to make things work as best you can. You have to find the other half that understands what you do, too.
Where are you from originally?
Manassas, Virginia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was born up there. Big Washington Redskins fan.
One of our clients owns the Manassas Shell gas station that we consult for.
Oh, nice.
Manassas Shell gas station, yep. I actually was just talking to him this morning.
Nice.
It's hilarious.
How long did you live there?
So I was there till I was 10 years old.
Okay.
Like I said, big Redskins fan. Then we moved down to North Carolina, which is interesting because the Panthers were just announced. And my dad was my parents were great to me. My mom and dad both. They bought me Panthers gear and so forth, but it just didn't stick. I don't have anything against the Panthers. I mean, I just don't like Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, but nothing against the Panthers. But just to give a time frame, my dad worked for the FBI.
Okay.
He was with counterterrorism. He was transferred. We transferred down to North Carolina. But I've been in North Carolina since I was 10.
Was that Charlotte area?
Yeah.
Concord, Charlotte.
Charlotte area.
Yeah.
Charlotte.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I've been here ever since then.
So what was home life like growing up? Was it like did your parents have any influence on you pursuing acting or?
So it's interesting. Yes. Yes. I say the double yes because, my parents wanted the best for me in life, but it is scary because acting is so unknown, So until I was seriously pursuing, they were always supportive, but I think they just wanted me to do well. And they were scared that, because there's so much out of our control, you just don't know what's going to happen.
Right, yeah.
They were always supportive. I'm an only child, so, there's nowhere to hide. All the focus is on me. But I grew up in a great household, great parents, loving parents, which as I get older, I realize is very important for a kid,
Right, yeah.
But, I couldn't ask for a better childhood. Yeah.
That's cool. And you never had any ambition to pursue the FBI or law enforcement or anything since your dad was in that?
Well, my dad, what's funny is I always play one on TV. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
I'm always the cop, the security guard.
I think you were a cop in Stranger Things, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so, yeah.
Which is interesting about that and fun about that is that actually incidentally opened up doors for stunts because I never had stunts on my resume until Stranger Things. They had about 4 or 5 of these pre-made shirts in the back with a squib packet, already pre-made inside. So I get shot in the chest, so I was a one and done, no recurring role, but because of that, it opened up another door right after for The Passage on Fox, and it was for the pilot. Now, the role I ended up actually making air, was not stunt related,
right?
But what we shot was a fight scene in the snow in Atlanta. And it was so amazing because when they brought me to set, remember, this is supposed to take place in Colorado. Right. And so we arrived, and Neil, you know this, you've been on set where it takes place in a different area. Well, we arrived to set at nighttime, and they have all this fake snow blown in. And within a 30-foot radius of where we're doing the fight scene is real snow. Now, obviously, they have something underneath to keep it cold. But that stunts from Stranger Things left to the stunts in The Passage. And it ended up getting cut in the pilot. It was pretty. I wouldn't say it was aggressive. I was a savage, and I don't know if it was just too much for television. I had to slam the actress to the ground and get on top of her and say some nasty thing. It was all written in the script. It wasn't improv.
Yeah.
So there's no improv.
What's wrong
there.
with this guy?
I helped her up after every take and made sure she was okay.
Just doing my fucking job.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Brianna Howie was the actress in that, and
Hey, Jess, can you turn my headphones down one notch? Thanks, man. Cool. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, Brianna Howie was the actress in that, but it was an interesting scene where we were fighting in the snow, and I had to slam her down and so forth, and then I get mine from the actor Vincent. He comes and saves her and kicks my rear end. So, yeah, but it didn't make the pilot.
Yeah.
So, so they brought me back as the gas station attendant.
Okay.
And I get robbed, by an actor named Austin Freeman.
Did you get shot again?
No, I almost did.
Okay.
He was pointing the gun at me, but he didn't get me that time.
A lot of the guest star roles are you dying. Like, for me too. Like, a lot of times when you book a guest star role, you're gonna die.
It's all my friends who act. The running joke is that they die in every episode.
Yeah.
And then when they find out that you didn't, they're just like, "Oh my God, you can come back."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
So Neil, I don't know if you know this, but speaking of finally recurring, I actually got my first recurring role last year.
Nice.
Yeah, it's in a show called The Staircase that comes out on HBO Max. They have a documentary on Netflix now.
Very cool.
Yeah, about Michael Peterson trial that happened in Chapel Hill.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the real life story.
How many episodes are you in?
I'm in 4.
Nice. That's good, man.
Oh, thank you. I was so happy.
Great.
My agents of course, I owe everything to them. They do a fantastic job of, finding these opportunities for me. And I got to work with Colin Firth, so it's Oscar winner, and he was super nice to me too. I mean, I couldn't ask for
Very cool.
a friendlier person. So
Now, do you? I feel like you've talked about this before. Like or you've mentioned this before. Like do you have a background in martial arts or anything?
and Taekwondo slow is what I got.
Oh, okay.
No, my dad taught me a couple things here and there.
Okay.
I had to have interest to go back and to actually go into a school and train because he actually retired and moved to Florida.
Okay.
So, but my dad has a black belt in Taekwondo.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, Taekwondo is
so-
good. It's a good martial art. It's
Yeah.
not as practical in regular life, but there's some good stuff to it. It's definitely, I have some close friends that are really good, I guess, martial artists in Taekwondo. They have
Yeah.
like 6, 7, 3 black belts or something.
Yeah.
And then, but they also do like jiu-jitsu and some other things.
I think the big thing is like when I look at Taekwondo or even like Krav Maga or some of these things, what are you trying to get from it, right? So like if
Right,
it's hand to hand, if it's real life combat, then you kind of have to train that way. And so I think where people see like somebody that's just a Taekwondo practitioner lose is a Taekwondo practitioner that solely practiced forms or katas or different things, and then gets into hand-to-hand combat with somebody that practices street fighting, essentially, right? Whatever that may be. But it's really interesting, though, if you see, like, people that practice Taekwondo, like, take Joe Rogan, for example, like, his kicks. People that are Taekwondo are known for because
Powerful kicks.
the powerful kicks, the hip. So there's a lot of things where you can take and transcend that. And then, thanks to, we'll call it UFC, but MMA, you start looking at all these different things where you're taking and coupling that with other things. It's really interesting.
There's a couple of UFC guys that have backgrounds in Taekwondo, and one of them, I just saw a video of this guy do a wheel kick, and he was standing right beside the opponent and wheel kicked him and knocked him out. It was pretty impressive. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Taekwondo guys usually have really good leg,
They get the
leg
kicks,
control.
yeah.
So
It's like anything else, I guess. The more information that's out there, and the more
Yeah.
people you can talk to, the more disciplines you can learn and implement. Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like hand things when I remember doing when I was younger. I'm like, what am I doing? Stabbed him in the stomach with my fingers? Like some of the stuff didn't make a lot of sense, but there were a lot of things that what it teaches you, I think, like you automatically react by blocking. Like I mean, like
Right.
I don't have to physically go through the form,
Yeah, your instincts.
but your instincts kick in and you automatically start blocking things. So
Right.
like it's really interesting
It's that
though.
repetition and muscle memory.
Yeah.
Makes
You were
pretty autonomous.
You were a pretty
reaction.
good athlete. Was it high school you were wrestling, or where did you?
So we lived
you
on
did some
military
states and
bases.
stuff, right?
Yeah, we lived on military bases and we traveled. So, like when we were in Germany, really you had like the PX, which if you're not family in the Army, you don't know what that is. And then you've got like the bowling alley, which is on base, and you've got boxing, right? And I was too young to box, but they let me do it anyway. I was
The
a
PX
bigger-
is just the general store on the
yeah, it's like
military base.
the
right?
general store basically. But you've got like very basic things, right? And for whatever reason, every base I seemed to be on, I just remember having a bowling alley. And I wasn't at that age interested in bowling, but I was interested in boxing. So I started boxing on the bases. And then I think in Germany it was actually, it wasn't Taekwondo, but something similar to that. And then when we got stationed in Virginia Beach, I did Taekwondo in Virginia Beach. And then as we got into like middle school wrestling, and then early high school, I switched. I did wrestling and then MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai kickboxing.
Nice.
So just kind of,
Yeah, 'cause you were still doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when I met you
Yeah.
back in 2005 or so.
yeah.
Yeah.
So no, yeah, but it was a good outlet for me.
Yeah, it's a
So-
good outlet for most people who do it.
Yeah.
Having that time, and it's a humbling experience too.
No, it is. My knuckles are busted right now. Actually, not bad. They're healing. But right next to us, we've got a full ring and speed bags and heavy bags and all kinds of stuff. Every once in a while, you'll hear it while we're recording. You'll hear people banging on them.
Yeah. Are your knuckles busted because you weren't wrapping up?
Yeah.
over there?
So here's the problem with being somebody that used to fight, that's starting back training, is that in your head, you think you have this muscle memory, and you do. But just because I used to do it all the time doesn't mean I should do it today. Plus,
Yeah.
also I'm older. But no, I was working speed bag drills like doubles.
Yep.
And running side to side, kind of like working my angles and just different things and trying to get the movements back and forth and
timing.
And timing. And so, and I started getting into it, and I started like a double hammer fist on a speed bag, which is actually difficult to do, right? And I started, and on the last one, I came through and I just right across the top of the wood. So, and I was like, and this is why we wrap our hands.
That's right.
So you should also wrap them, when you're hitting bags and stuff, so you don't break your wrists.
Right,
But,
or hurt bones in your hands.
yeah. So, but anyway, there's a lot of reasons to wrap them. But I was skipping the rules, and that was about the third day in a row I had done it, and sure enough.
Yeah, the rules are the rules for a reason.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You were talking about back to the wrestling thing. When you did wrestling for a little bit, and then you got into acting. Did you see any similarities that came from wrestling into acting? And because for me, what I realize is,
Are you trying to say wrestling's fake? And there's acting going on?
I'm definitely saying it's predetermined. I'm a big wrestler fan. A lot of my friends are still active wrestlers in big situations. I mean, but there is, from the performance part of it, what I realized is, had I started doing stand-up comedy before I started wrestling, I'd probably still be wrestling, because I could have just talked my way into being really good and not had to do so much crazy shit. But there is a lot of acting that goes into wrestling with the, and it's starting to go into MMA as well. And not that it's fake, but when two guys are screaming about each other's families, they don't necessarily maybe mean that, but they do know that conflict sells tickets. And there just is a little bit of both, especially doing stunts and a little more action stuff. Did any of that carry over, the wrestling stuff?
Yeah, so, with that fight scene, I still remember my technique in taking what they call bumps in the ring.
Yes, sir.
As far as tucking your chin, smacking your arms out to the side. To
spreading
absorb,
it out over
spreading it out, yeah.
biggest mass possible.
Yep, to spread the force. So that did come in handy. With that fight scene and so forth. So, the pro wrestling is just, a lot of charisma is involved.
Yeah.
I love Ric Flair, speaking of Charlotte.
Yeah.
Right? It was a fun time, a moment in life. It was very fun. But at that time, it's very painful, as you know.
Yeah.
And did anybody that, thinks, there's maybe a handful that thinks it's easy, just like they think acting is easy.
Yeah, right.
I used to think acting was easy. I really did. I looked at it. I was like, well, how difficult is it to just go play with your friends? You know what I mean? But then, I do it a little bit. I'm like, holy shit, I am lost in the woods here. It's a difficult thing.
As a fan, I think where I realized it wasn't is the trick, I think, and I don't know anything about acting, but the trick I think is that for me, the guy enjoying it, to not know you're acting.
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
Right? Like, I really get so into it, so into the character, so into the scene, so into the thing, that I forget for moments that this is an act.
Well, you have to believe it.
Yeah, and that right there. And so, it's really interesting for me to watch things that I clearly can tell they're acting.
And there's a lot of that involved in stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
I'm full of shit when I'm up there. You know what I mean? And getting you to believe that I'm not full of shit is a skill.
Yeah.
And a lot of, one of the reasons I asked the question is a lot of the wrestling stuff translated over into comedy for me. It's just paying attention to crowds and noises and sounds and interest. I used to have this one guy. I played a bad guy. It was my favorite thing to do. But he'd say, all right, that group of people over there, they hate you right now. So what do you do? And I was like, I make them hate me more. He was like, no, they're going to hate you no matter what you do. Go make other people hate you. Ignore them, they'll hate you more, right? And with stand-up, it's the same thing. You always hear stand-up say, I saw the one guy, he wasn't enjoying himself, and I just focused on him. It's like, well, fuck that guy. Go play to the people who do like you, and then once you get them to like you, play to some other people that don't necessarily like you. It's crazy how a little bit from all performance translates.
For sure.
And also, you have to be fully engaged in what you're doing. Like in acting, if you get lost in it, that's when the audience gets lost in it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I got to say, if you can look this up real quick while we're talking, the Ric Flair. I'm having a hard time keeping these alligator boots, these size. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we got to play that. It's like a little
mile long.
Yeah, it's like a 60-second little clip there. That Ric Flair famous clip.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
What was your character's name in wrestling?
So at that time, I trained with an old school coach named George South, and he made you earn everything, which is great.
Yeah, George South is a legendary name.
He actually wrestled Ric Flair as well. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. So he gave me the name Samoa Joe, which is actually a wrestler's name in real life. But he would give you nicknames because you had to earn the right, under him to go out there, which I can respect that.
Yeah,
I mean,
cool.
he would do things like I don't know if many wrestlers do this today, but make us wipe our feet before we enter the ring.
Yeah.
Stuff
You're
like
supposed to teach
that.
how to respect.
Yeah.
You respect before you step in.
Respect the space. Yeah.
Yeah, and
cool.
and in that line of work, you have to have.
All right, we got to hear it real quick. We got to hear. Oh, we got to hit the volume on the bottom right.
Oh, Slick Rick.
But we're gonna have to put a mat up.
And see, that is art. That's
It
art.
is, yeah.
I mean, that's
absolutely.
that's fantastic.
Performance art, yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Ric Flair clips is the one where he talks about the belt. It's what's causing all this?
Yeah.
What's causing?
Yeah.
15 pounds of gold on one hell of a body.
Man, it's just fantastic.
Yeah. We're gonna have to put. You were talking about wiping the feet and the mat. We're gonna have to put up a sign that says that.
What was your character, Eric?
I had so many. I got my first match when I was 4 months in, and I was at that point I was playing video games a lot, and so I made up a character on a wrestling video game. So my guy was just that guy. His name was Rage, and that was it. I had a mask. I came out. I beat the shit out of people, and then I got the shit beat out of me by a lot of people, and then I would throw a temper tantrum, and people loved it. And then I did the porn star thing where it's like your middle name and the street you grew up on. So it was Damian Reed, and then I got into this tag team with a buddy of mine who we would wrestle each other for a year. We were kind of married on the road. We'd travel with each other, and then we'd do the matches. And then we started doing this gimmick. It was a boy band because we were both young. We had abs, long hair, and all that. And so we would come out to NSYNC songs, and they would hate us. The girls liked us. The guys hated us, so it was perfect.
Yeah.
But then one day I had this idea. I said, well, what if we, lip sync to the song? And then I had this other idea. I was like, what if we go and record a song and make it really bad and lip sync to that? And we would come out and do that and do the dance and get shit thrown at us. We got called all kinds of names. It worked pretty well.
That's fantastic. What's to combine the two, like I was telling Daniel earlier with the Under Armour shirts, The Rock, my agents know this too. I mean, that's a goal of mine, and I think it's a very reachable goal to be able to work with The Rock. He's in Atlanta all the time, filming, and that is a goal of mine. So I'm manifesting that right now.
Yeah, man, it's good to have. It's
Very
good
doable.
to say it out loud.
Yeah,
I mean, he's making so much stuff. A lot of people are working with him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I believe it's like I said, I believe it's a reachable goal, and we'll see what happens.
Well, he produces so many different projects, and he's in so many projects, so it's not unreasonable.
Yeah. I mean, right now he's shooting something, and then tomorrow he'll shoot something else. You know what I mean? It's every day. So
yeah, for
So,
sure.
yeah, man. I hope that happens for you.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, he's on Billions, right?
I think he was on. He had a show called Ballers,
Ballers. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's what I was
that's
thinking.
Right.
Yeah,
Ballers.
which is funny if you look at. You can.
He's
look
worth
at-
billions.
Yeah, he's worth.
He will be. Yeah.
If you look at Ballers, it's funny. The first couple seasons, it's very rock heavy, and then in the last couple seasons, you could tell he just started getting busy because it's just him in the car on the phone. You know what I mean? Like everything they could shoot. Like, all right, we only got rock for an hour. He's walking from one business meeting to another. Give him a phone and make him make a phone call. This is all. His interaction on that show got less and less just because he got so much.
Right.
He got busier and
That's
busier.
funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
What do you have? You have any projects coming up?
So nothing in the pipeline now. We finished, we finished. Me and I guess the team of people around me, right? JTA and so forth.
Yeah.
We finished the year strong. We did the staircase. That took about several months spread out.
What is that?
The staircase, the one with
on,
with
HBO
Colin Firth.
Max?
HBO
Oh,
Max.
yeah.
It'll come out later this year.
Yeah, there's no release date for it yet, but it's coming out sometime soon.
Yeah, and so that was from October till about first week of December. I have a Harris Casino commercial coming out, and then we finished the year strong with a Purdue Chicken commercial.
Nice.
Where I wear Larry Bird's shorts. Same length, by the way.
That's cool.
Yeah. 4
Talk about
inches
sacrifices, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, nothing in the pipeline. But I know it's it's coming. The auditions will come.
For sure,
so yeah. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be a great year for everybody.
Yeah.
I think things are picking back up. I think everybody's going to be working a lot again. Not only myself, but I think all the actors are going to be.
Yeah, I think
rocking.
the more the last 2 years taught us that there are ways to work around things and be more efficient. And so, yeah, I think you're right. I think there's going to be more work coming for everybody in the next year or two.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have anything you like to do outside of acting? Any other type of art or?
Like you were
Hobbies.
talking about earlier, the martial arts. I am looking into that as far as getting back into some kind of a class or something.
Yeah.
Not only for self-defense, but I do want to use it in film. I need to.
Sure, yeah.
It's just like working on the craft of acting. You got to keep sharp with that.
Well, anything that adds to you adds to your craft.
Yeah.
Wow. And it could help you book roles. You never know.
Yeah. I mean, I do want to be like the Jean-Claude Van Dammes and the Bruce Lees.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I like. Right?
And you've done some weapons training and stuff too in the past, right?
Yeah, I did.
Well, I'm sure your dad probably taught you a bunch of stuff. But
Yeah. Or what he could tell me with his job.
Yeah.
Right? He probably has this bugged up right now. Hello?
You didn't get away with shit when you were younger. If Dad let you get away with it, it's because he let you get away with it.
Yeah.
Always under surveillance.
Which is interesting, by the way, because a long time ago I showed him, just in general, I just showed him like Snapchat when it first came out, and I said, hey, check this out, just at a small talk. I said, yeah, look at this video, what it does, it plays and then it goes away. He said, oh, you think it goes away? It goes somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. It comes off your device.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. When he was still stationed in New Mexico for his last stint, he got me a tour of the Breaking Bad set out there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
Albuquerque Studios. Yeah, it was on. It was around Thanksgiving, Christmas, so obviously hiatus. The Johnny Depp movie also just wrapped up. It's like he's in the Western. What's it? He's got the makeup and the bird on the head. I forgot the name.
Lone Ranger movie.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Lone Ranger. Yep. Yeah. So, but that was pretty interesting to see the Breaking Bad and
It's really cool. Yeah.
yeah, all that out there. So,
What part of Florida? I got to ask.
Inglewood.
Inglewood. Okay.
Yeah, near Tampa.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
I was gonna say I know exactly. I spend the last 2 years, especially really predominantly the last 2 years, I've spent quite a bit of time in that vicinity. So
Oh, nice.
I love that area.
Nice.
So
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, he's neighbors with Tom Brady down there now.
there you
so.
go. That's
Oh,
awesome.
that's cool. Wow.
That's awesome. But yeah, no, that's on my list. So I've been watching property there for. You're manifesting The Rock. I'm manifesting St. Pete. The Rock will come too.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Neil? What you got? Anything in the pipeline?
I mean, just stuff in the studio and comedy. I've been doing more comedy than acting.
Yeah, so you do stand-up comedy as well now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I really like it.
I have a lot of respect for you guys because I know that I've never done it, obviously, but it's. I mean,
Well, he's a real comedian. I'm trying to be one. So
You're doing great.
I'm learning.
Yeah, I mean that's tough to get up there, in front of people and
Yeah, it
to do
is.
the host.
I feel like, whatever's tough to you is tough to you. For me, it's a little bit. I'd rather do that than what you guys do. And I only mean that, not that I'd rather do it, but it's easier for me to do what I do than you do. There's so much work that goes into other things. And I think if you're just starting something and it's not specifically in your lane, then there's just an extra amount of work. I still do a lot of work, but it's easier work for me. Something about it feels natural.
Well, you've been doing stand-up for a long time.
Yeah, it's been 10 years. I started in 2011.
Yeah.
And I've had decent success, and I was talking to a couple of the young comedians the other day. They were in here and we were talking, and I was telling them, I said, if in 2011 I would have woke up and decided I want to play basketball, I was never going to shoot shots with Kobe or any of those guys, you know what I mean?
Right.
But starting comedy, I've gotten to work with so many crazy, good, talented, famous comedians and movie stars and things like that who I've gotten the chance to be friends with. It's just, I don't know. It's one of those things that when I was a kid, it was what I wanted to do when I was a kid, and now I get to do it. It's remarkable. It really
cool.
is. And I'm not a dreams come true kind of guy, but dreams come true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was the thing I wanted, and now I have it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that goes back to actually something you said earlier, Neil. We were talking about money and happiness and so forth. So another thing I'm a big believer in for everybody is, we're only on this earth for so long, right?
Yeah.
And you really have to go after what you want in life, like truthfully. And it's not talk; it has to be action. So when I see people going out for whatever it is, stand-up comedy, acting, or whatnot, if they're enjoying what they're doing in life and making money that way, I mean, to me, that it's success.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I support that 1,000%, and it makes me happy when I see people doing what they enjoy doing for a living.
1,000%,
Yeah. Instead of, heard you say in another interview, you called it the golden cuffs, I think.
Oh, that
Gold
was
handcuffs.
Was
Yeah.
it you? Golden handcuffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so true. And I, like I said, I worked the corporate life, and I saw. It's funny because when I would get in the elevator at 26 years old, I would see these older guys in there that were so miserable. And they say, "Hey, could you hit 4 for me, young man?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And it's like, God, please get me out of here, because I was like, I didn't want my life to, not knowing their personal life, but they just looked unhappy. Is what I'm saying.
They've probably done very well.
Explain the golden handcuffs thing.
So, for me,
Be
golden.
right back.
Yeah, do you think, buddy? Golden handcuffs essentially are, you're working a job, which is, I said just over broke from my father as a lesson from him. But you're working a job and they pay you just enough, right? And as you go through life, these golden handcuffs essentially is you're tied to that job. You can't make the decision you'd like to make because you're essentially like, they're handcuffs, but they're golden, right? Like this is an opportunity and it's a good opportunity. It's just not the right thing, but you're trapped. Right? It's like you're on this path, and the longer you stay on it, the harder it is to get off of it. I liken this to if you're in a relationship with a woman and you have children, it's harder to leave, right? Because you have more things tying you to her. Think about it from like an insurance perspective. If the more lines of insurance you have homeowners and auto and life and health insurance with an agent, it's hard to fire that agent.
Right.
So the more years you put in with these corporations, the harder it is to take the handcuffs off. So for me, that's the golden handcuffs. And so I'm okay with the handcuffs if the goal. So for me, it's cliche, but begin with the end in mind. Like, what is it? Like, think about the life that you imagine yourself living, and what's the direct path to that life. And some people are like, oh, I want to live on the beach. I want to do this, or I want to have all this time freedom and all these things. And they start to, I want to hike. You can do those things almost for free. Doesn't require great wealth to go to public beach accesses everywhere. Mountains are access everywhere. Like you got to be really specific. Like, I want to own a piece of the beach because I want some level of privacy. I want to wake up to the ocean. Like, okay, well, now we've got to figure out, how do you do that? And that's not for everybody. Some people want to be, 1,000 acres in Montana. Some people want to be, they want the skyscraper in New York. Some people want to live on Lake Norman, right? So it's like, whatever your goal is, I'm not here to tell you what the goal is, but figure out what it really is, what you really hope to accomplish, and then just create a straight line to that, and it's not always going to be straight. There's ups and downs, but create a direct path. Anything that doesn't lead you towards that, you're deviating from what you should be doing.
I remember,
and if you can be happy while doing it. So this is the other thing. Like, you're saying, hey, I'm passionate about this, so your goal was not necessarily some material thing. Your goal is what you're doing. Right. So in that form, you are successful because you are accomplishing the objective, which is to act, right? To do these things. So at its most primal level, you're being successful just in doing what you set out to do. I think it's a massive failure if all you do is accomplish. You go into the corporate world or anywhere and you just stack all this money and you die rich. Okay, well, what did you accomplish?
Exactly.
Yeah, I worked with. The last job I had, 11 years ago. I was there for, I think, almost 10 years, and some of the people I was there with, are still there. And I remember for the last 8 years just being a horrible employee because I just wanted to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't get rid of me. And those guys, some of them are still there. And, we just wanted different things. You know what I mean? They wanted security and I wanted fulfillment and whatever that meant to me.
Yeah.
It's funny. New Year's, I spent the night with some friends down at the comedy club. We did a couple shows, and then we went next door to Jenny owns the comedy club, and she owns the bar next door. So we're at the beer bar, and it gets to be midnight, and she goes around. And she says, "Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year." And she gets to me, she gives me a kiss on the cheek. She looks me in the eye, and she said, "You're the worst employee I've ever had." And I took it as a compliment because I am the worst. I don't want to be a good employee. I want to work for myself. You know what I mean? If I'm a good employee, that's how they get you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going to entice me enough to stay. I just I don't have that gene in me where it's to work for other people.
I think a paycheck also stifles, the drive you have, right? So like. The worst thing I can do to somebody that's entrepreneurial is put them on payroll. Mm-hmm. Like if you're naturally self-driven, the worst thing I can do is turn you into an employee, right? So like a lot of the times when I would rather partner with somebody, and I tell people all the time, if you work for me, I take the tack that I'm going to underpay you and overwork you. If you partner with me, I'll make millions with you, right? Mm-hmm. It's not a greed thing. It's if you're an entrepreneur, the worst thing I can do is reward you with a high paycheck.
Yeah, I got to be hungry.
You need to be hungry. You got to be fighting for it, and let's accomplish this goal, whatever that is, together. But you've got to be, and people are like, I want to, these crazy things I think are going to make them happy. I want to be able to spend money without worrying about the price, right? Well, first you have to be able to work without watching the clock.
There you go.
Right, like there's so many people like they show up and they're already ready to leave.
Yeah.
Right, and they're looking for excuses. Like they're finding I've got this to do, and we can all do that. Right, but like if you really, really want to be successful, you can't watch the clock. You just got to get it done, and it takes however long it takes.
So true. I haven't said thank God it's Friday in 10 years.
Yeah. So I mean,
my Friday is Sunday night. You know what I mean? It's that's the end of the work week, and then Monday's the beginning of it. You know what I mean?
And I'm excited for Mondays.
Me
I'm
too.
sure it's just like when you enjoy it, you're like, man, I'm excited about what's coming down the pipeline.
And I don't believe in taking a day off. I think you do that when you die, but that doesn't mean you have to. That doesn't mean you work in a traditional sense. I just want to be productive every day. I want to do something productive. You can
enjoy yourself while being productive.
Yeah.
The thing that I've found that has been super useful for me, and I've only found this in the last 4 or 5 years, being more creative and diving more into the art side of life, is I just need stations. I need to be able to, like, a plan is great, but I like ideas. Yep. If I have 5 ideas that day, whichever one seems to be the one that's calling me the most, that my energy is going towards, I want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I can do the thing I have to do, but it's much easier for me to do the thing I want to do.
Yeah.
Yep. Very nice. Nicely said. Neil can vouch for this too. He said 9 years for him, 10 for me.
Yeah.
Just like anything else in life. I mean, in the acting business, for any actors that are new to the business that may listen to this, man, if you don't have the passion, and you were talking about the hunger. See, I still have the same hunger inside me that I had back when I was an extra. When I was just starting off. I mean, the same feeling, the same excitement is still there. You know? And unless you have the passion, and like I said, I was telling Neil, or Neil can say agree to this. When you get to, I guess, a certain level per se in acting, I mean, when you get a timeline, a deadline to turn in a 3-page audition, and do it several different ways, maybe, Yeah. I mean, you have to have the passion. It's not easy, You have to really love it and want to do well, to turn in the best work, to get the approval.
We've talked about this before. It's as an actor or comedian or any kind of an artist, you have to. It's like there's something in you that makes you have to do that. It's the passion. You have to do that art, even if it doesn't make sense sometimes.
Yeah.
And you're right, with an audition, like a 3-page audition or something. Early on, that's overwhelming. It's daunting, but now it's not a big deal. Now you get it, and it's like you could do it that day. Just work on it for half an hour, and do it because you know the craft. But it's just something. If you're an artist, that you just have to create art, otherwise you just won't be happy.
Yeah.
And like you said, you quit your job, and you made these sacrifices so you could do your art.
Oh yeah.
You know.
I wasn't going to be all talk and no action, man. And I was like,
There's
I'm going to
so many people that are.
Yeah.
So when you talk about acting and the work that obviously has to go in it, I've been talking to people who want to get into editing and producing and making things, and they talk about it, and then they're like, oh, what computer am I going to buy? I'm like, well, you don't know how to use the fucking computer. Why don't you watch some videos to learn the software, and that'll better inform what you want to buy. If you just want to buy a computer, buy a fucking computer. But if you're trying to do a thing, study it. So when it comes to acting, when you're in between work and you're not filming auditions and things like that, what are the things you can do to kind of still work and grow when you're not actively pursuing a job in your downtime? Is it watching videos? Is it reading books? What is it that helps you with that?
So I think, if you're early in acting, you should be. I think preferably you'd want to be at an acting school, studying and working with other actors.
And what was the name of the one you guys went to again?
The Actors Lab.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a really good school. They're in Charlotte, Los Angeles, Portland, and what's the other one in California? It's I can't think of the name of the city. Santa Barbara.
Yep.
But and there's also a good acting school here in Greensboro called In Studio.
Mm-hmm.
They're really good, but just constantly working on your craft and working with other actors, and then once you understand the craft really well and you're a working actor, then I think the things that I do to stay sharp is, if I don't have any auditions currently, I'll just occasionally read sides, constantly think about my choices as an actor. What are different choices that I have in my bag that I can use for different scenarios, different types of auditions, or different types of projects.
When you say making choices, let's talk about that for dum-dums.
So a lot of times when you have, like if you get an audition or you have a project you're working on and you're in a scene, and this, the scene will call for maybe a certain, so maybe in the scene you've lost your job, and you. So your character in the scene, they're losing their job, they're getting fired, so they're really disappointed or whatever. But you have to make personal choices before you go into that scene that will put you in the right emotional state for that scene. So, like, I would choose something that's much more detrimental than just losing my job. Maybe I lost someone really close to me, or maybe someone has harmed someone really close to me. If my reaction is going to be more anger, something that's very personal to me, that's going to make me react differently in that, or appropriately, I guess, in that scene. So I'll create a scenario in my mind that will put me into a certain emotional state, and I'll really go into that. I'll spend a lot of time going into that. It's like a daydream, really, and then I'll just throw that away, and then I've already worked out the sides and all that stuff. So then I'll just go into the scene and do the scene, and then there's that underlying emotional thing or element there that I've already worked out, and that's my choices, and that gives me a point of view and makes the scene real. So.
Mm-hmm. And for you, Paul, same questions, but
Sure.
What are the things you do to stay sharp when you're not actively working to grow and continue to grow?
So I've been very fortunate in the last couple years to audition a lot, and that's, to me, that's winning too, because like we were talking about earlier, I mean that's practice in itself. Whether you get the part or not, you're practicing on the craft, and it's. So auditioning is how I stay sharp. There's a lady, Amy Jo Berman, also. It's like an online. She has a lot of. She was the casting director for HBO for I think like 15 or 18 years.
Nice.
But she has a lot of great information about the business and how to succeed in the business. But yeah, I always commit every part of my day, whether it's an hour or 30 minutes or even more, something to do with the business. You know, to stay sharp. Because it is a business, right?
Yeah.
You have to treat it like a business too.
Right.
You know, I've seen a lot of talented actors, you know, that are more talented than me, but they're not. I guess, you know, it's not my responsibility. I mean, they have to figure it out. You know, they have to figure out the business side of it, and work through that too. You know, so
That's a lot of artists in general, though.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I mean, a lot of times you're really creative people, or people that are more so just on that creative side. They access mostly that side of their personality.
yeah,
They often struggle with, you know, organization or structure.
yeah.
You know, which, you know, some of those are the best artists, but they often need someone to help guide them in the business aspect of their career.
Yeah. And as you well know, too, a lot of it, I used to not use, this is one of the words I used to not use was well, but then as time goes on, you realize luck does factor in.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And, but the the harder I work, the luckier I get. Isn't that funny?
It's sort of, I was going to
Yeah.
say, like, you've got to put in the work, and then you get lucky.
What
Yeah.
if luck is like random selection? Think about like a random number generator, which
Like the lottery?
yeah, well, random number generator, like we could put in a defined field, like in an Excel sheet, essentially, and we'll just water it way down. And let's say there's 10,000 numbers. Mm-hmm. You represent one of those numbers, right? And every time you hit spin, the random number generator puts one of those between 1 and 1,000 at the top, and it reorganizes all 1,000 numbers. So maybe the first position might be 973, the second position might be number 4. The fifth position might be 500, right? It's completely random, right? Mm-hmm. Is it luck that you're number 1, or is it just that you're finally, when you're getting a callback, you're putting yourself in the random number generator? Because you may not, if you didn't try, you aren't one of those 1,000. You could never win.
That's
Right,
true.
yeah.
Right? So one, you have to exhibit a skill, and you have to have talent and passion, and you have to be able to put that best foot forward to get the shot. Mm-hmm. But then in addition to that, what you say is luck. Maybe that's just showing up enough times that just statistically you're going to get your shot, right?
Yeah, I agree with
and
that. Yeah.
then there's this other side of it is how many times do you put yourself in front of somebody that person that you're, like you said, you have an opportunity to be seen. So, and I don't know anything about acting. I'm just thinking about from a math standpoint, which I know a lot about. That's an opportunity to be seen, which means that person that could see something in you that they really like and give you the opportunity. Mm-hmm. And is that luck, or was that you created an opportunity?
Well, someone
Like you say, hey, the more I show up, the more luckier I get, right?
Right.
Or the more I,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, someone recently said something about, I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about having trouble wanting to network with people, and they're like, I don't want to come across like I'm looking for a handout. I was like, no, you should be constantly meeting people that are in the same field you're in or doing the same stuff you're doing, whether it's art or business.
Yeah.
And but you have to work. If you're not working on your craft, then you won't be ready when the opportunity arises. So constantly work on what you're doing, get better at what you're doing, and then also while you're doing that, meet people that are in the same field that are ahead of you, and when they see that you're ready for something, they can give you a referral or maybe give you a project or let you be a part of something, and that's sometimes it is sometimes you meet the right people at the right time, but if you're not prepared, you won't get the opportunity, and so you have to put in the work regardless.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's that quote is luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity.
Yes. Yeah.
I went through the first 6 or 7 years of doing comedy where I felt like asking for anything was a handout. But meanwhile, I'm sleeping in my van and driving from 4 hours away to do 3 minutes. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I felt like it was a handout, but I was working really hard for it. It's just it is a strange thing. People do have an issue asking for things sometimes, and getting over that a little bit is is incredibly helpful.
Also-
It's just necessary.
Also, you asked about as an actor, what do you do to prepare to constantly work on your
Mhm.
craft? Well, one aspect of it is just being you.
Right.
Just being a human,
Mhm.
like being aware of, what you are and how humans interact. But
Mhm.
also doing stand-ups helped me a lot with acting.
Yeah.
And acting, I think, helped me do stand-up.
1,000,000%.
But also stand-up has really helped me as an actor a lot because, a big aspect of doing stand-up is being comfortable in the moment
Yeah.
and just being yourself. And that's surprisingly difficult when you're on stage in front of a lot of people.
You know what's funny about that? When I was younger in school, I hated doing presentations.
Oh, yeah.
I hated sitting in front of the class. I always wanted to be towards the
I
back.
still hate it.
I think that's the normal
Swear to God, I
response.
still hate it.
Yeah, but
I
it's
thought
but-
about that last week. It's such a strange thing to be. I've done shows in front of 2,600 people, and I was fine. But if you put me at a dinner party with a bunch of dummies I don't want to talk to, it's like hell to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's wild.
But it's funny because now that's all we ever do is presentations.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
but I
Well,
guess
yeah.
but acting has helped with that aspect of. I mean, I'm not in class anymore, but I can stand in front of people now. It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah. And being on set, it doesn't bother you. Like
No.
it's I remember the first time I got on a bigger set, I was kind of nervous because there's so many people there,
yeah.
and it's a lot because everybody's looking at you and you're kind of on the spot. But now it's just like, oh, this is like it's cool, like it's amazing. It's the mindset, it's the perspective.
Yeah.
Because now I get on set and I'm like, this is ridiculous that I'm getting paid this much money to
Yeah,
do
yeah.
this,
Yeah.
just to hang out and
The first bunch of times I got opportunities to go to like big comedy clubs, I was just out of my mind, nervous and all that, and then eventually I was like, oh, I get to go and be on this cool stage and have this cool green room, and everybody's going to bring me food. It's it's like fantastic.
Right. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. And like you were saying too, like as far as being on set, and preparation, all the things you were talking about, the confidence, when you audition so much, and even the other jobs building up to television and movies, prepare you for that moment. But then once your
Right.
confidence, and such is life, right? I mean, confidence in
Yeah.
everything you do in life
Right,
is
yeah.
important. So once you have that confidence and you get on set, like when I worked on The Staircase in my first recurring, and Colin Firth is an Oscar-winning actor. I mean, but I've been working, fortunately enough, where I was just excited to be there, and I was
Yeah.
ready to rock and roll. I'll be honest, I wasn't nervous. I was just ready to have fun.
Do what you
And,
do,
Yeah,
yeah.
do what you do. And
Early on, it's when you get on a set, you can get it's like you're really worried about not doing a good job.
Absolutely,
It
yeah.
kind of messes you up. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And looking at the past 10 years and 9 for you, it's great to have great people around us. The agents,
Oh yeah.
the fellow actors. I mean, I don't think I've ever really met any other actor that's a douchebag. Everybody's
No,
been so
yeah.
nice. Been friendly. Everybody has the same passion for it and wants to succeed. And I enjoy, congratulating you or congratulating my other actors when they book.
Yes.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
We're all winning because we're all in the
Right.
trenches together. And that's the way you have to see it. You can't be jealous of anybody. You just have to be happy for them.
Yep.
So, but yeah, confidence. My point was that confidence is everything in life.
That's a
Yeah.
thing you've said a while back. Is people who are ahead of you in business don't typically throw shit downward.
Mm-mm.
It's people
Beneath you.
Beneath you.
They throw shit up. They
throw
attempt to,
it
and
up.
it just falls back in their face. But yeah.
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 Anybody that's ever trying to, you think talk down on you. That's what it feels like.
Mhm.
Really, they're speaking up to you, trying to pull you down.
Yeah.
And you were saying earlier, so and again, I'm not an actor, so I don't know specifically, but just as you apply this to acting, like what do you do during your downtime? What do you do to stay sharp? I'll tell you what not to do. Real quick, like 90 seconds. I had a really good friend that I grew up with, a childhood friend, I should say, that I caught myself spending a lot of time. He'd call me, right? And he wasn't calling. It wasn't just to check in and see how my family was. He'd call and ask me real estate questions. And, I'd spend 20 or 30 minutes today, and then he'd call me tomorrow, and then he'd call me the next day, and he'd call me next week. And every time, so what I felt like what was going on, instead of him earning the information like I did, reading it, living it, executing the YouTube videos. There's so many things now to do. I started catching on, but really what he was doing was just calling me. But the problem is I'm running a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
This is time I'm taking away. If I have that free time for him, really that time could be to FaceTime my kids.
Yeah.
And I don't have a lot of time. So I just suggested to him, I said, hey, man, why don't you, Bigger Pockets at the time was and still is, I think, the largest real estate podcast. And I said, listen, why don't you, there's a lot of value, information-wise, not BS, but actual value per minute that you watch or listen to Bigger Pockets. I was like, why don't you check it out? Maybe it can help answer a lot of your questions. I also suggested maybe like 10 of my favorite real estate books.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I didn't hear from him for, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 months. Didn't think anything about it. He calls me up and he said, I've finished watching listening to Bigger Pockets. Now there's like thousands of episodes, right? And I'm like, oh, you just giving up on it? And he's like, no, I watched them. He said, I listened to them all.
Wow.
Yeah, but I was like, well, how many properties have you bought? None. Right? So there's also this other side where people think that you have to do all these things to prepare, but they never act.
Got to execute.
Right? Like you had talked about that, hey, this guy he was so worried about doing all these things, but he wanted to know what type of laptop to buy.
Right.
Like my friend wanted to know all this information and never executed. To this day, now 2 more years has passed, he still has not bought a property. Right? And he's fear. And, because he said he thought he was fearful because he didn't know enough. Obviously, he took in all this information,
right.
But the reality is he's not willing to take that leap, take
man,
that
can
step.
you hit 4 for me?
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's that guy.
It's the guy in the elevator that's he's got the golden handcuffs on. He's going down a path, and it doesn't matter how much information. He's already so far down, and he's unwilling to take that uncomfortable step to shift in a different
It's
direction.
that sacrifice and risk.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Do you want this bad enough to give up some things and to take a chance and to make a mistake and look foolish? I mean, I'm going through it now with the stuff I'm doing in the studio, right?
Yeah.
It's like I know what I want it to be at the end, but I got to start somewhere. It's that old quote of the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is today.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's going to have to be bad before. I used to think, and I think a lot of people still think this is, if you just try enough things, you'll find the thing you're great at the first time you do it. It's just never going to fucking happen. Whatever the thing you're going to try, if you are passionate about it, you are going to be bad at it at first. And if the passion oversees the pain that comes from being bad, then you will get better.
You'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you won't survive the active business if you don't have the passion.
No, yeah.
No,
There's no way. You just won't.
I was going to say in business too, just like in art, it's you have to be passionate about it. It's he and I have both made big sacrifices, like huge sacrifices in business, and lost everything at least once in our careers. But it's just nothing can stop us from doing what we do.
No, that's the thing. So you talk about, like when you talk about passion and doing something, you didn't want to be the guy 40 years from now in the elevator, so it's part of this. Like, I actually love what I do. Like, and most people probably would want to shoot themselves, I think. I don't know. Like, it's
a lot of stress.
It's a lot of stress.
Yeah.
There are definitely times, there's definitely things, and I've gotten to a point where, financially, it makes no sense for me to do certain things because I should be delegating. And I have started delegating some of these tasks, and what I'm really doing is giving somebody else an opportunity to show up. I'm giving someone else an opportunity to show me, to earn a spot at the table, to eat while I'm eating. That's the way I'm looking at it, right? I'm trying to take a part of what I make, the pie that is what I generate, and spread it out. And then in exchange for that, I should have more time. I don't want more time to be lazy. I'm not a lazy person. I want some more time. So, like, literally, we calculated like 2 weeks ago that the things I delegated are going to save me about 500 hours this year. So if you think about that, you go, okay, well, what are those hours going to be used for, right? And I can go, okay, well, I'm going to do this with my kids and this with my wife. And then I want to check those boxes, but I'm also going to start these new projects. Like, I've got things I want to do. So then really what I'm doing is I'm increasing efficiencies just so I can continue to be passionate about new projects, right? And
Yeah.
because the goal is not the money, I figured that out. It's just a byproduct of what I do.
Also, if you're not delegating, you're dropping the ball and stuff.
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because I can juggle, but I can only juggle so many things.
Yeah.
See, I like being around guys like today,
Yeah.
because everybody in the room is passionate, and that's how you have to surround yourself with people like that.
Absolutely.
You have to.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
especially coming from the comedy side of things, we're just a bunch of grown children who are savages with no coping mechanisms, And then you start traveling around the people who are really fucking doing it, and you look at them and you're like, they're not having any fun at all, and their life seems boring. And it's like, they got the best lives. You know what I mean? They got the best lives. They figured it out. They know how to work. They know how to stay invested, and they also know how to have fun with the work they have to do.
Yeah.
And the more time I spend around them and these guys, it's only benefiting me in every way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And also, like just this guy, he motivates me. Like if I feel like I'm not doing enough or not living up to my standard, I just look at what he's doing, and it's like, I gotta really get with it. I have to. He keeps me motivated. If you hang around people that have similar interests or at least a similar level of motivation, you'll stay motivated.
Yeah.
Because they hold you accountable.
Yeah, I secretly, well, not secretly, but I do it in a nice way. But if there's people around me that are negative, I just try to avoid them in a nice way.
I don't do it in such a nice way anymore.
Yeah.
I make direct eye contact and I walk away.
Yeah. Hey, you're like my dad. My dad is straight to the point, man.
Yeah.
There's no fluff. He'll tell you straight like it is, man.
I just feel like I feel like I'm dying. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm running out of time. I wasted a lot of I'm 45. I wasted a lot of this time, and I rode this body pretty fucking difficult. I don't expect that I'll live to be Betty White's age, but I do expect that I want to get the most out of the whatever years I have left. And when I'm around people who are gossiping or being negative, and I think this is a thing I got from Neil, he just stopped listening at some points, and I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then now, when I'm in those conversations, I just walk away. We got to be talking about things that are going to make me better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I try to redirect if I can. If I can take
Sure.
the conversation and take the person that's kind of sucking the air out of the room and redirect, I can. And if I can't, then I just redirect my efforts out of the room. But
And you look like an asshole at first, and that's just because you're hanging out with people who think that's an asshole thing.
Yeah.
And then when you hang out with people who understand it, it's.
But those are the real assholes, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like the passive aggressive assholes.
Yeah, man.
yeah, for years, I kept changing my phone number, and I would instruct my family. I'd say, listen, do not give out my phone number. Like, I'm talking about immediate family, my mother, my father, my brother.
Sure.
Like, I had two phones, and I did not want people to have this phone. And predominantly it was for childhood friends and extended family. Because every time they'd call me, it was to dump all their problems on me and to ask me for money.
Yeah.
Over and over and over and over. People don't even remember, second cousins. Like, it's like it just spread like wildfire. And at one point in time, and not just that, I mean, just I was too accessible.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's not to get on the high horse, but you start thinking about people that are wildly successful, and you wonder why they have all these walls up.
Yeah.
It's because there's no way to filter out in the beginning. There's millions of people trying to get in touch with The Rock.
Yeah.
It's going to take you a little bit to get there because you got to prove you deserve to be there.
Exactly.
And you're doing that in the actions and the decisions that you're making in your life, and eventually you're going to get there through those decisions because you got to get through those barriers that him and others like him have put in place to protect themselves, to give them some semblance of a lifestyle.
And to protect their time, right?
Their time,
and their
right.
energy, right?
Yeah.
We talked about this a few weeks ago on the podcast. I was talking about Gary V, who's somebody who I really enjoy listening to. And when my mental state was different, I almost unfollowed him 100 fucking times because it's like watching someone say positive things when you don't feel very positive is like, ugh, go away. You know what I mean? But when you say you want to, when you want to work with The Rock and you state that goal out loud and you're working on manifesting it, are there people who look at that in a certain way and think you're being silly or judge you for it? And are those the people that you got to walk away from? When you start trying to do cool things, people think you're crazy.
Well, the funny thing is about that is because I have such a great surrounding of people
Hell yeah.
with my agents and fellow actors and everybody. If anybody thinks that goal is silly, I mean, I'm confident in saying right now that I truly believe it can happen.
Absolutely.
And if they think it's silly, then that's fine.
It's a reflection. It's a reflection on them, right?
Yeah, there's no problem with me. I'm focused on what I'm doing, and that's an important thing as an actor too. Is especially the actors that are starting off, is never compare yourself to somebody else, because we're all on different paths.
Yeah.
Totally different paths. It's such a wild shoot in the acting business, and never compare yourself to another
Comparison
actor.
is the thief of joy.
It is. Now, you can look at what sometimes, I did this, and I still might do this today sometimes, but you can look at other actors that are at a different level, per se, or have more credits, and you can look at their IMDb. Just say, how are they presenting themselves? And then,
Right.
You kind of look at their business model, and then you have to make it your own, though, obviously. But stuff like that. Now, that's not really comparison. That's more like studying. You say, okay, well, whatever they're doing is working as far as their business.
There's a
setup.
way to steal like an artist. If there's if there is a proven formula, there's no harm in making some adjustments that make things more likely for you to get where you need to get.
Yeah,
It's just inspiration.
Inspiration, yeah.
Yeah, and I genuinely, like I said earlier, am happy when my fellow actors do well. And that comes with confidence too. I know that I'm focused on my path, and when someone else does well, be happy for them too.
Well, also, like you wanting to work with The Rock, from an actor's perspective, and people that aren't actors, so they'll know. When we get certain roles and we're opposite some big name actor, that's where we want to be. That helps our career tremendously.
Absolutely,
because you have that footage you're in that scene with that famous actor.
Yeah,
you've got this really good credit, and it gives you more credibility as an actor. So next time, when the casting director sees your name come up for an audition for a role, and they see a clip of you with this big actor, like if you're with The Rock, I guarantee you it's going to get you jobs.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it gives you credibility, and it's like that with comedy. If you're opening for an A-list comedian, then obviously
You're more likely to open for the next one.
Yeah, and you end up being a headliner because you've earned it.
The really good comics that I opened with would almost always say the same kind of thing, and it would be try to steal my audience tonight. And basically what they meant is, you're in a position where you get to interact with people. 400 people showed up to see me 5 times this week. Try to get as many of those people to steal you. And that is them doing the right thing and not shoving me down, because they realize there is enough for all of us.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that was a big thing for me, is seeing younger comics. It was motivating to me I always wanted to be better than everybody. I still do. If I go to a show, I want to be the funniest person. I want to be the best comedian on the show. It doesn't happen all the time. And then, I was having a talk with my buddy J.D. Etheridge the other day, and I told him, I remember the day you became funnier than me. And I was excited for him, and I was motivated because, hey, all that work that he put in finally worked out. He made me try harder that night. It didn't work out for me like it should have, but that put a lither bit of fire under my feet and made me keep working. So it's good that you're excited for people when they get booked and get good opportunities. It's how it should be.
Yeah, and when we're in the business together as actors, you understand what all goes into it. So yeah, when an actor, I used to say to some actors, like, I don't care if it's one line in a show. You be proud of that line. Don't let anybody that's not in the acting business water it down.
It's hard to get a line.
It's hard to get a line, and when you
series.
get that line, you should be proud of that line, and don't let anybody steal your thunder on that.
A guest star role is a guest star role.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But I had this kind of epiphany the other day with this podcast and the studio in general. I kept focusing on the numbers that I want for subscribers. It's like, we got to get to 1,000 subscribers. Got to get to, and then what I realized is, the number that we have is pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Being able to have access to that amount. If you told me tonight, hey, you're gonna go do a show for 400 and some odd people. Be pretty fucking excited.
show.
And now we get to do it every week. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that number will just keep growing. It's being grateful for the thing that you actually have.
Absolutely.
I should come watch y'all sometime. Are y'all ever on the same card? I say card, that's a wrestling term.
Yeah, every now and again. I'm actually, I've been considering a show in Charlotte sometime later this year, and Neil will definitely be coming out.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll let you know for sure.
Absolutely.
But
yeah.
we get.
And just so
You
we're
can
clear,
roast me. If you
I,
want me to sit in the front, you can roast me too. Okay?
I don't deserve to be on the same show as
No,
him.
that's not true at all. That's not true at all. He does. I wouldn't put him doing an hour at the end, but he'd be good. He'd be good for 15, 20 for sure.
I did go to one of their open mics, and one of the girls, I can't remember her name, she got me. I was sitting in front of her. She was talking about my neck and my chins and
Yeah.
something about her dad or stepfather. I don't know. There was all kinds of. She was.
It's
like,
always strange to me.
She was hammering me. I was
It's
like, oh.
it's
man.
always strange to me if a comedian goes on stage and starts picking on somebody who's being cool in the audience. I never understand it. Playfully, I get. I reserve my heckling for people I don't like.
That's the
Yeah.
risk of going to an open mic, though, right?
It
Oh,
for
I
sure
was,
is.
I was good. I was good. I
Oh,
was
yeah, I
a good sport, but it was like it caught me off guard. I've said some things off camera to him about it, but it's funny.
Yeah.
I'll have my day. No.
But yeah, we'll be going out to Charlotte at some point. There's a couple venues and some comedians I really like that are out there, and I haven't been on the road for the last 2 years. I mean, for multiple reasons. But the more and more I think about getting out and doing stuff, Charlotte's one of the cities that I never really got to fully enjoy doing comedy, and I've had some good shows. There's a cool little venue out there that I'm super interested in going and doing at some point this year. So we'll be out, and we'll make sure we message you and have you come out. It'll be fun.
Absolutely.
And selfishly, we're lucky that we get to collaborate with Eric, because if the pandemic hadn't happened, he would have been on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you had 300 plus shows.
I was going to do
Nice.
300 and some odd shows. I had 43 weeks on the road.
Wow.
I was looking at, and I'm glad I didn't go do it. It would have been nice, but I'm not sure I would have made it home. It was a lot. You know what I mean? I was overextending myself. I was feeling very ambitious, and I had these ideas in my head but I had no real way of executing them. So, the pandemic and meeting you guys and being in the studios given me a really good focus point, and I've learned some ways that I do want to do it on the road when I get back out there. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that, speaking of the pandemic, I'm glad, like we were saying earlier, that everything is up and running again at least.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
yeah, hopefully for you, with your deal that things can, continue on with that too, and
Yeah,
everybody
man.
can go back to doing what they like.
And I think that's we've learned so many new ways to handle things, right? I mean, I feel in a much better position if something like that were to happen again. I definitely have ways to get around it. But
Yeah.
when you look at comedy and comedians right now, and actors, right? Like my guess is that you're doing more sending in tapes than you were previous to the pandemic, right?
It's been digital for a long time, mostly since I've been in it.
Yeah, when I first started, you would see it was starting to transition at that
Yeah.
time. It was, we would go in a lot in person, and then you were just starting to do the digital Actors Access version,
Yeah,
which I heard that it was
casting networks.
casting networks. I heard it was created because of the gas prices, even before I
okay.
started.
Oh,
that's what
interesting.
I was.
Makes sense.
That's what I was.
Yeah.
Or what I heard. Yeah, that actors couldn't afford to drive to Atlanta and back anymore. It was just so expensive.
Well, there's no point anyway. Like, it's easier to just. I mean, you can get so many more auditions in.
Yeah, for the casting director side too.
Right.
Because I went to an Actors Access seminar one time just to see. This is part about being an actor is the business side. Learning what it's like on the other side of things.
Yep.
And I went to the Actors Access, which I recommend for any new actor too, if they ever have one of those again, to go to. It shows you behind the scenes of yet again, what we're talking about, when thousands of before we even get an invite, you got the casting directors that send out what they're looking for to the
Yeah.
Southeast, and then you
Yeah.
have all these thousands of submissions that come in, and then you get the invite, and you're in the top 30 to 40 already.
Yeah.
So you're almost there.
Yep.
And so the whole that's the thing that some people that are not in the business don't understand, the levels. That's why I say when you get one line on the show,
Yeah,
be
man.
proud of it, embrace it, and get the footage. That's another thing about no talk, less talk, more action. Is man, I've met actors that I don't have demo reel.
Yeah.
Well, you got lines. Why don't you get the footage yet? I don't know how to get it. You got to figure. Which, by the way, Actors Access has a way of getting that footage. That's how I get mine.
Oh, really? Through Actors Access?
Yeah, it's a option. Obviously you have to pay, but it's investing. So you go. It's through Actors Access. You go in and you have to tell them what episode and roughly what time in the episode it's in, and then they'll send you the clip.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's how I get all my
Nice.
demo stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Very cool.
yeah, there's no need to wait, man. Once you get it out there, just go ahead and get it in and put it on your reel.
Yeah, sure. Well, Paul, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, man.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Really
No, I
enjoyed
thank
it.
you guys.
Yeah,
I thank you very much, and I'm honored to sit and share this chair with many other, my fellow actors that have come through. So
For sure, yeah. We'll definitely have you back, too, man.
awesome. Well, I thank you guys very much.
Yeah,
Appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Have a good one, buddy.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next week. Bye, guys.